Alright guys, welcome to another Flutter tutorial using GetX. In this video, I will discuss how to create database driven dependent dropdowns. Here you can see this is a dropdown where a list of zone is coming from the database. If I select a zone, then corresponding to that zone, the corresponding state will be displayed. How to achieve this, that portion I will discuss today. Okay. Now here you can see in the MySQL database I have created a table named as zones where we have two columns, zone ID and zone name, with these values, right? Similarly, we have a states table where we have state ID, zone ID, state name, where we have these values. Okay, and here I have created the corresponding API by using Laravel. You can create this API by using any language of your choice. Okay, here in this API.php there are two functions, get zone and get state, to retrieve the zone and state respectively, right? And we have app controller where I have created a function get zone, which is again calling the get zone from the app model to retrieve the zone from the database. Similarly, this get state function I have created, which is taking the zone ID, and with that zone ID it will retrieve the state from the table. Now here you can see this is the model, app model, which I have created, where I have created this get zone function which is retrieving the data from the zones table, and I have created this get state function which is retrieving the state table or data from the state table based on the zone ID, right? And I have created this Flutter project by using the get CLI tool. Okay, after creating the project by using the quick type IO site, which I have discussed in my earlier videos also, I have created this state model and zone model inside the model folder, which is created inside the data folder. This is the structure of the state model. Okay, and this is the structure of the zone model. Fine, these are the two models which I have created. After that, inside the data folder I have created another folder, providers. Inside the provider folders I have created this API provider.dart file. Here you can see it is a class which is extending the get connect. These concepts I have already discussed in my previous GetX videos. Fine, this is the app base URL. After that, I have created this get zone function which is returning a feature of zone model. Fine, and if response.status has error, then it will return this. Otherwise it will return response.body string, and I have called this zone model from JSON function. Fine, similarly here I have created this get state function which is retrieving the state from the table. Okay, after that, inside this home folder I have created this repository.dart. Here you can see I have used API provider. This is the constructor, and here I have created this get zone and get state. Okay, now if you follow my GetX playlist, then these concepts I have already discussed. Fine, now in the home binding, here you can see here I have used get.lazyput home controller, and after that in the constructor of the home controller I have used this repository API provider. Now let me move to the home controller. In the home controller you can see it is extending the GetX controller, where I have taken this repository, and in the constructor I have passed this repository. After that I have created a global key and I have given the name as form key. Right, now in this controller I will write the code to populate the drop down from the database. Here I will declare a variable rx of list of zone. I will give the name as lst zone model equals to, let me copy this, let me paste here this, and this will be a array. Fine, now from where I am getting this zone, if you remember I have created this zone model here, and you can see this zone I have declared here, this class zone I have declared here. Fine, now let me move to the home controller. Here I will declare another reactive variable where selected zone ID, means whatever zone ID I will select from the drop down, that I will store in this variable, and I will make this variable reactive with the help of .obs. Okay, and here I will create Rx of list of drop down item. Okay, drop down menu item I will create this, and I will give the name as, and this drop down menu item will have the type as string. Fine, and I will name it as LST zone drop down menu item. Okay, now let me copy this, paste it here, and this will be a array. Okay, now after that, in the onReady method I will call a method getZone, which I will create later on. Okay, now here I need to create this method. Let me create it, void getZone. Now inside this method, first of all I will use try catch block. I will use. Now inside the try block, since this function will retrieve the data from the zone table, so while the data is being retrieved I need to show a loader, and to do that here I will call get.dialog, and inside this dialog I will use center widget. Inside the center widget, inside child, I will use circular progress indicator. Fine. This I need to display. Now after this, here I will use a repository. This repository, if you remember, this repository is nothing but the object of this repository class. Now this repository class contains the method getZone. Okay, getZone dot then value. Now inside this value I will write the code. Let me put a semicolon here. Now here I will check if value dot zone data. Now this zone data from where I am getting, actually this zone data variable contains the list of zone from the table, so here I am using zone data. Let me show you. Here you can see this is the getZone API, and you can see the list of zone is stored inside zone data. Similarly for state, the data is stored inside state data. Okay, that is the reason why I am using zone data here. Now here I will check if this dot length is greater than 0, then get dot back. This means the data is retrieved from the server and I need to close that circular progress indicator. After that, here LST zone model dot value dot whatever value is stored there, that I will clear. After clearing LST zone model dot value dot, I will call add all, and inside this add all I will pass value dot zone data. Okay, and here I will use null check operator. Fine. Now LST zone drop down menu item dot value, I will clear it as well. Let me clear this. Now I will add LST zone drop down menu item dot value dot add. With this I will add a drop down menu item, and as a child here I will use text. Inside this text I will pass select zone. Okay, and in the style I will use text style. and in the text style I will pass the font size as 14 and font weight I will pass font weight dot bold, put a comma, save. Okay, so here in this drop down menu item, as a child I have used the text widget, and here I have displayed select zone and I have given a style. Now for this drop down menu item there is another property which is called as value. I will put the initial value as 0. Okay, now after adding this, here I will use for zone in LST zone model dot value, means whatever value is there inside the LST zone, that I will traverse one by one, and those values I will add to the LST drop down menu item. Okay, and in the value now it will be zone dot zone ID dot toString, and in the text here I will pass zone dot zone name dot toString. Okay, and here I need to put a comma. So this value from the zone table, that will be retrieved one by one and it will be added to this drop down menu item. Okay, and if any exception occurs, then again I will call this get.back, and if you want to handle the error, then the corresponding code you need to write inside this catch block. Similarly, for any error, here I will call on error, and here also I will call get.back, and the corresponding error handling code we need to write here. Fine, let me write error handling code, and here if any exception occurs, then exception handling code will be here. Okay, now when the user selects any zone, then corresponding to that zone the corresponding state will be retrieved. Let me write the code for that too. Simply I will copy, paste it here, and it will be replaced with states. Now from where I am getting these states? If you remember, inside the state model you can see here I have created the class states. Fine, let me move to home controller, states, and copy this, and it will now be selected state ID, and here let me change the name from zone to state. Okay, and I will simply copy this get zone method, I will paste it here. Now this method name will be get state, and this get state method now will take string zone ID. Okay, and now this method will be get state, and here I need to pass the zone ID. Now this will not be zone data, it will be state data, because if you remember I told you that state contains all the list in the state data. That's why here I need to use state data. Okay, and this zone data will also be state data, and this will not be LST zone model, this will be now LST state model. Okay, here I have changed the name. No, here I need to change it to LST state model. Okay, now LST state model, this will also be LST state model. It will not be LST zone, it will be LST state. Let me copy this here also. Now this will be select state. Okay, and here it will be replaced with states. Let it be states, it will be LST state model, and now here it will be states dot state name, and it will also be states dot state id. Okay, that's it. I have written the code to retrieve the state also. Now let me move to the home view. In the home view, you can see here in the body I have taken a container, I have given a margin, then there is a single child scroll view. I have taken a form widget. In the form widget I have specified the key. As a child of the form I have taken a column widget. Now as a children of the column widget, here I will take obx in the obx. Here I will use the drop down button because I want to do validation also. That's why here I will use drop down button form field. Okay, now let me remove this for the time being. Let me put a comma here. Now here I will use the property is dense. I will make it as true. Okay, and in the auto validate mode, here I will pass auto validation mode dot user interaction. In validator, in validator, here it will take val. In the val, here I will return controller, it will be return controller dot validate zone. Obviously this function I need to create. Here I will pass val with null check operator. So now in the home controller I need to create this method. Let me copy the method name, move to home controller, and here I will create the method validate zone. Okay, this validate zone method will have the return type as string, and this validate zone will take value. Okay, now here I will check if value equals to 0. If you remember, I have initialized the, let me show you. Here I have initialized the zone ID with the initial value 0. Similarly, I have initialized the state ID with the value 0. So if someone select zone, then obviously the value means if someone selects the first index, that is select zone, the value of the selected zone ID will be 0. Similarly, if someone select state, then the value of the selected ID will be 0. And if someone selects the initial position, that is select state or select zone, then here I will return the error message as select zone. Fine, and here I will return null, else return null. Now I need to create the same method for state as well. So here I will simply copy it to state. It will be select state. Now let me move to the home view. In the home view, val dot to string. Fine. Now here I will decorate the drop down button form field. For that I will use decoration. In the decoration I will use input decoration. In the input decoration I will use border. In the border I will use outline input border, and here I will use border radius. In border radius I will call border radius dot all, and here I will pass radius dot circular, and I will pass the radius value as 8. Now let me put some commas here. save this. Okay, I have given the decoration for the drop down button field. Now here I will specify the items, and in the items I will call controller dot lst drop down menu item dot value. Whatever item is stored inside the lst zone, whatever value is stored inside the LST zone drop down menu item, that will be the item for this drop down button field, right? Now here I will use value, and this means the initial value for the drop down button. For that I will call controller dot selected zone id dot value, and since the initial value was 0, that's why the initial value will be displayed as select zone. Okay, now in the hint I will call text. In the text I will pass select zone, and in the style I will give the text style. In font size I will pass 14, and I will pass the font width dot bold. Okay, and here let me put a comma. Now in the on changed, this one here, in on changed means whenever the item will be selected from the drop down button field, here I need to pass selected value. Whenever the item will be selected from that drop down field, I will assign the value to controller dot selected zone id dot value equals to selected value dot to string. Okay, and now here I will check if controller dot selected zone id dot value, if it is not equals to 0, then I will call controller dot get state, and here I will pass the selected zone id value. Let me show you the output first. Here you can see if somebody selects select zone which is at the index position 0, at that time it will display this select zone message. But if somebody selects zone 1, then corresponding to that zone 1 the corresponding state will be retrieved. That's why here I have done the checking. If controller dot selected zone id dot value is not equals to 0, this means if someone is not selecting this select zone whose value is 0, then this get state function will not be called. It will be called if and only if the user selects zone 1 or zone 2. Okay, now here I will use another property which is expanded. I will make it as true. Fine. Now after that I will use a sized box having the height as, let it be 10, and I will copy this entire OBX widget. I will paste it here, and now it will be changed to controller dot validate zone 2 validate state. This I have already created inside the controller, and it will be select state, it will be selected state id. Now this if is not required here. Okay, and in the items it will be selected state drop down menu item, it will be selected state id. Okay, if I run this project, then we will get the output like this. This is how we can create database driven dependent drop down in Flutter using GetX. I hope you have enjoyed the video. Please subscribe my channel. Thank you so much for watching.